Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of the Idol Pack Talk Show. Today, we are very excited because we have a special guest, a good friend of the show. He is Patrick. He is the host of Patrick Power Live, has a lot of shows on his Facebook channel, does a lot of posts and a lot of interaction on his Facebook channel. So we are really happy to have you here today, Patrick. Thank you for joining. We have an interesting topic today. We are talking about settling in relationships. And we are here to kind of explore this topic and to get everyone's intake. It's going to be very interesting and very engaging. And I hope you guys are ready for the show, and we are happy to get started without wasting so much time. So thank you again, Patrick, for joining. My regular host, Asong, thank you for being here. Well, I guess the very first point we have to start with is defining settling in marriage or relationships, should we say. Sometimes it often has a negative connotation. And a lot of people are usually scared to when people ask them to settle. And to be clear, we don't just mean settle down. We mean like actually making concessions to the list that you had of growing up. We know a lot of women have lists of who they want to marry or they want to be in a relationship as they grow up. So at a certain point in time when you're not meeting the demands of the list, usually long, you have to make a certain give and take, make some concessions, and get what you deserve. So when I guess I have to go around and to probably ask you guys, when you hear of settle in relationship, what comes to mind? There we go, Patrick.
Should I go first?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me to your show. And so we don't waste time. Let's just go straight to the issue at hand. You know, this thing that we talk about settling, you made it clear that when you talk about settling, people always look at it from the negative point of view, right? People think that when you settle, it means you're making concessions. You're trying to accept things that you're not supposed to accept in a normal day life, things you're not supposed to do, but you accept to do them. Settling down in marriage, no matter how we take it, one way or the other, we need to make concessions. We need to come to an agreement because these are two people come into a relationship and they come from two different backgrounds. They have two different ideas, two different influences. So you guys would definitely have to make some decisions about accepting certain things and not accepting certain things. So settling down also means that you've gotten things that you want. Maybe you've got a good job, you've got a good house, you've got a good car. Then it's time for you to say, okay, let me get married and stay at home with my wife and my children. That's some sort of settling down. So people should stop seeing the word settling down as having a negative connotation. Yeah. For me, I feel that when somebody has the mindset of negativity about when it comes to marriage, the moment you bring the word settling down, you start thinking from the negative point of view. You can settle down by saying, okay, I've been all over. Like for us men, okay, I've dated X, W, G, and O. I've done this. I've seen you. You are not like the other ladies. I see you doing one or two things that I like. So, okay, it's time for me to get married. I've reached the age. You have what I think we can build from. So I will settle down and we continue from there. It doesn't necessarily mean that we are losing some aspect or we are settling for less.
Yeah. Asang, I don't know if you have something to add to what he said.
Again, I just to add, it's like, it's not just for women, because again, sometimes it looks like a language that is meant for just women. Men settle down as well, right? And in both senses, as in settling down, as in finding someone you want to spend the rest of your life with and making the decision to get married or to do that, and also in the other meaning as settling, meaning making concessions. So I meet a woman, I have certain standards. I meet a woman who doesn't, meet all the standards. So it's like I see a few things that I like. I see things that I was hoping for, which are not there, but I think I am good enough to make these concessions and to settle for you. It's not settling for less, it's just settling for what is there at hand, right? So again, just to reinforce, settling is not always negative. Business people will tell you it's give and take. You have to give up certain expectations to be able to pick a partner, or to be able to pick a relationship. It's always give and take. You can't find a person who has 100% of what you're looking for in relationships.
Let me just throw this definition out there and hear what you guys think. So I read somewhere settling down means being ready to accept less than what you deserve. So when I read that, for me, I feel like people are often coming up with a list of these are the things I have to see in a partner. And oftentimes I think it's predicated on the fact that one human being is supposed to satisfy all of your needs. Also predicated on the fact that some people have soulmates out there. Do you think that soulmate is really a thing, or it's something that we have to work towards to?
Let me go first, okay?
Yeah.
For me, this thing of talking about soulmate, I always come to think that we have been programmed to believe that our happiness is found in some people, is somebody. I always, with time, as I grow older and as I read more books, I tend to realize that society has put us in a situation, in a box, and we refuse to think out of that box. So we always want people to be the one to make us happy. Meanwhile, we should be the first people to make ourselves happy.
Yeah.
So I always tell my even when I met my wife, actually what I was trying to find out from her is if she's a happy person on her own, right? Because if you've been beaten down by life, if you've gone through a lot of trauma, you've gone through a lot of issues in your life, and you've not healed from that, and you are unhappy, nobody's gonna make you happy. Marriage is not, a relationship is not an escape from your
sad life.
trauma. Yeah, relationship or marriage is not an escape from your sad life. You're not escaping from your reality using marriage. So settling down from what you talk about, the definition. I also went through my search and I found that definition. I was like, these are the things that keep people in the box.
Yeah.
These are the things that make people to feel less about themselves and think that when you settle down, it means you're settling for less. I think at one point we should try to start trying to use words and give people the right meaning of these words, because when you go to Google search and you do all this Google search and you see some of the things they say about certain words and you look at how it's affecting, it's impacting people around you because they click to that word and they say, oh, even when you go and do your search, they say settling down means you're settling for less.
Yeah.
And people will refuse. In this life, whether you like it or not, we have to come to a point where we have to say, okay, I'm taking this or I'm not taking this. The moment you make that decision to say, okay, I'm going with this person, I'm not going with this person, I'm doing this job, I'm not doing this job. You have said
already making concessions. Yeah. Aston, it's usually like Patrick said, has a negative connotation, but don't you think everybody in life settles for something?
Everybody settles. That's 100%. Everybody settles. You're settling in your relationship. You're setting. I mean, people are looking for their dream jobs. There's nothing like a dream job, man. You eventually settle for something. People want to be pilots. People want to be nurses and doctors. Circumstances might put you in a situation where you cannot find the job that you're looking for. And then you have to settle for a nurse if you wanted to be a doctor, or you have to settle for being a social worker or you will have to settle to be a paralegal if you were looking to be a lot. There are many people, very few people can tell me that they haven't settled in their lives, right? Yeah. Like I said, it's give and take. You have to lose something to gain something. You have to cut down on your standards so that you could have a relationship with the girl that is right in front of you. Like people said, a bird in hand is worth 20 in the bush.
Yeah,
that is exactly what people should think about when they think about settling. Is this good enough, or should I leave this and hope that I find something better? It's just hope.
Yeah,
there's no guarantee that the next person you meet is better than or the next opportunity
what you already have now
is better than the opportunity that is right in front of you, right? So many people settle, whether you like it or not, whether you admit it or not, people are settling every day and making those decisions to settle.
I tend to think that the problem is the word settle, because if we use other synonyms, people will not even bother about it.
Yeah.
Right. But when you use the word settle, people just have this negative mindset, this negative connotation. And they forget that whether you like it or not, they are already settling with life.
Yeah.
People are not where they want to be. Everybody, when we're growing up,
especially in relationships, and especially with ladies, when you use the word settle, it's always negative.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to look at it from a positive angle. Again,
because women in general, they like to marry on the same level, or they like to go up the social ladder in any relationships. Certainly, us men, we have been told our whole lives that you have to settle down for less, because reality checks you out. You cannot be an 18-year-old. Even if you want to date your fellow 18-year-olds, they're already checking out 21-year-olds. The 21-year-olds are already checking out 30-year-olds, because these guys probably have the financial resources that these women are looking for. So I feel like men, society, or reality kind of puts you in your place. You know that you have to settle down. But women, they are, especially if you're a beautiful woman, you're a beautiful woman. You grow up, your parents, first of all, start telling you that you deserve the world. By the time you're a teenager, all the guys are flocking to you and telling you how beautiful you are, how you deserve all the things that the world has to offer. So I feel women have a difficult time with the word settle. Do you guys find that in your experience?
Yes, for sure. For me, I always blame all of these things to society and how we were grown as kids, right? Especially our women. Women normally settle for more. They have higher expectation.
Yeah.
You see a lady who is doing nothing with her life. She's not working. She has no job. She has nothing, but she's expecting to have a man that is top financially.
Yeah.
But you see a man, and I keep saying men go for less and women go for more. You see a man who has gotten to the peak of his career, he's in his early 30s, he's made some good money, and then you see the woman he's dating, the woman has nothing to offer, just because she's pretty, and just because this man feels like, okay, it's time for me to settle down. So he gets a woman. So this word settling down, it goes both sides. The men settle down, the women settle down. But as you said, most women, they go for the top. And society has made it in such a way that women, they think they can have a free pass at everything. When they are young, they think when these men keep flooding their DMs or keep asking them out and jumping from one corner with them, taking them to drink and all of that, and all these parties, they don't realize that this is temporal. Women, that they're like a flower. The more as they grow older, that's how the demand for them drops. That's how their value goes down. And when I say this thing on my show, women get angry. But that's the reality.
I've seen you getting so many angry women on your show.
But that's the truth. Women, they know it, because I tell you that women, look at the woman that's in her 30s. Her highest threat is a woman that's younger than her in her 20s or 18. So it's not me saying it. It's just a fact. It's just that they refuse to accept that when you are in your 20s, that's when you have the opportunity where men who have made it in life in their 30s, early 30s and 40s, they come to you because you are young. Your biological cycle is still open. There's still a lot of advantages with you. So they come now because they call it Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Then when you allow that thing enter your head and you allow this fake feminism concept control you, you realize that as you grow older, these things are dropping. These men are dropping. Then when you get into your 40s, you start trying to recruit younger girls to be like you, to be sad and miserable like you in your 40s because you are lonely, you are single, and you had all this expectation that you did not meet because you refused to settle. You always thought that you expect more. This is not good. You had good men that came your way, but you went for the talks. You had good men that came your way. You went for the street guys who put their baggy downstairs, and as we call it, those who have no, they don't really appreciate certain things in life. You went for those. Then when you are older now, you want men with certain values.
Yeah.
And you are not up to that value yet. So everybody has to settle. But let our sisters who are watching us know that it's an advantage when you settle when you are younger, not when you are older. You're not a man.
And there's really scientific and psychological explanation for this. Like you've alluded to, you are prettier, because I think I've read in so many places, women are at their peak sexual marketplace value when they are in their early 20s. You are more fertile. Men are looking to be able to guarantee that you can produce them children, and children that are healthy too. You're more energetic to raise children. And also, this thing it's a give and take, because men have the resources to offer, and these men are looking for women who have beauty and youth to offer to. So, Ason, how do you view this dynamic of rich men looking for young women, or young women looking for guys who have made it in life?
Yeah, again, it's I think, again, people have what they are looking for. People have unique standards. They have unique expectations of what they want in a relationship, or who they want to settle with. Of course, a man in his 30s is definitely probably wanting to settle, would definitely be looking for a younger woman. Very rarely do men look for women who are older than them when they are looking to settle down. I know there are exceptions to every rule, but if you ask any man anywhere and say, hey, if you want to settle down, who would you be looking for? They would not say I'll be looking for a girl who's the same age. They would not say I'll be looking for an older woman. They would say I'll be looking for a younger girl. You understand? So again, just like Patrick said, age has a lot to play when it comes to people's ability to understand the need to settle. When women are younger, the settling is not something that they're thinking about. They have 10 years, 20 years ahead of them. That's what they think. So they can choose and reject and reject and reject and reject, believing there's time. Eventually, you get to 30, and then you begin to realize, hey, I need to cut down these expectations. Maybe I shouldn't be looking for a man who is making 7 figures. Maybe I should be looking for a man who is able to make 5 figures and manage that, right? So the older you get, the lesser you expect from a man.
It's more, the older they get, the more reality hits them.
Reality sets in.
The more they come to reality.
There's one paradox that I've noticed. The more women get older, the more the standard seems to increase. Have you guys noticed that? Which is a weird thing, because you know that you're not attracting the same number of men. You know that you're not attracting the top quality of men, but you have certain standards. You've probably been through multiple guides. You probably have multiple relationships and have slept with way more people, considering the fact that you've been single for a long time. But these older women, many of them have kids too. Their standards are even higher when they're older. It's a weird situation. Have you guys noticed that?
For me, I say at times, like, after a certain age, when you see, it's not bad to have higher expectations. Yeah. It's not bad when you are when you are 41 with 2 kids from 2 different fathers to be expecting a man that is in his early 40s with no kids, or even with kids, to settle down with you. It's not bad. But the problem is, what I say all the time is, when you self-evaluate yourself to be higher than what the market value places on you, at one point you are delusional, you're losing it. You should accept reality. When you get to a certain age as a woman, the market value, your market value reduces. You might not like it, that's the truth. So when you start putting yourself saying, oh, I deserve a man of this caliber, what do you expect of a lady that is 20 years old, or 21, 22, 23, in her peak of everything, more prettier than you? She has no kids. She's well educated. She's well behaved. She's decent. She has less body count or baggages and less trauma. What do you expect her to do? To go for a man 10 times what you expect? The reality is, women have refused to accept reality. That's the truth about it. So they go out of their expectation to expect things that might not come their way. And we are not saying for everybody. As Song said, there are exceptions. But the majority of these ladies, these modern day ladies, because I'm talking about modern day ladies, it didn't happen many years back. But with society changing, people traveling, and social media coming, and all of these things, women are now placing certain high level. They're placing themselves on a certain pedestal that is not real. Right. It's high time they come back to reality. When you're a woman above a certain age, you should realize that this thing, it doesn't mean you not get married. My elder sister is 41. She got divorced and got married again at 42. So there are things you cannot understand. I know a woman at 45 who got married for the 3rd time. I know somebody who is in their 20 and there's no suitor, nobody's asking their hands out in marriage. There are always exceptions.
Those are the exceptions, right?
At a certain age, you just start to realize that as a woman, your biological clock is dropping. There's a lot of body count, there's a lot of trauma. You start comparing every man you date with the present one. So it's a complicated process.
And I'm not sure what is wrong with a woman settling for less and building up. Isn't that a concept that women should think about?
What do we mean by settling for less?
Let's just assume settling for less in the sense that this man does not meet my expectations.
What I thought when I was growing up.
Man, he doesn't meet it. I know he doesn't meet it. But yes, I can have a relationship with him and then build him up, or we both build ourselves up.
You know what they say, women are not there to build men up. Women wait for the finish line. They wait for men at the finish line.
How is that working for them? I think that's the question that they should
you have to know how women have been programmed from childhood. And like I said before, parents are telling your girls the world is their oyster. You should get anything you want. And I have daughters. I want to be nice to my daughters and tell them that they can achieve anything. But at a certain point in time, you have to get a reality check. That what I had growing up, the least I wanted someone who was very tall, who was really handsome, who has six-pack, who has mansions, who has cars. At a certain point, you have to realize that, as Patrick said, what you're selling, maybe you carry your potatoes to the market and you feel like these potatoes cost 10,000 francs, but everybody's pricing 1,000 francs. There's a problem with the product. It's not a problem with the market. It's a problem with the product. And you have to reevaluate your price. You're probably overinflating your price. So you have to check that. For some reason, women have a difficult time understanding this. I don't know. It just breaks my brain to be able to understand. I don't know if you guys understand, have seen this, that it's so challenging for women to realize that they have to adjust their standards to get certain things that they want. I don't know is it an experience for you guys?
For sure. Most women, they refuse to accept it. They refuse to accept it because they think they are better, because they think that they can get anything they want and how they want, which is a lie. Yes, we are all programmed to say that when you prepare your mindset, you train your mind to say you can get anything you want. It's a good mantra. It's a good a positive attitude to build, but you should also face reality.
Yeah.
Right. As a woman, when it comes to you can get anything you want when it comes to getting a job. Yes, you can fight to get anything you want in the job. You can fight to get a dream car. You can fight to go for your dream vacation. You can fight to get your dream shoe, your necklace, and good phone. But now, when it comes to this issue of marriage, like getting a man, these things it changes as you grow older.
It does.
It changes as you grow older. So you should not take your dream job, settling for a dream job, and bring it into a marriage or into a relationship space, because that's a whole different space.
Yeah.
Women should accept that. When it comes to relationship and dealing with a man, men think differently from women. The moment women will accept that men don't think like them, men are wired differently from the way they do their things, then they start trying to understand men. They will realize that they are the ones not accepting the truth and the reality, and they are fooling their own selves.
Yeah. People really get what they deserve. Okay. We're almost running up here. I want to bring another aspect that I feel like is affecting this conversation, feminism, which is really prevalent nowadays. And one thing it teaches women is that put relationship on the back burner, focus on your career. When you're 35 and you're all accomplished and you have all the financial resources, you can just pick a man off the street. How is that working? What is your experience?
How is that really working?
Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, there's feminism. Feminism, it depends on how you look at it. There's feminism, and then there's extreme feminism, which is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
I believe that women have a choice. Women make choices. They have a choice. If you feel like career is important to you, well, you focus on your career and do what it is you want to do with it. If you feel like your relationship is important to you, well, then that's what you want to do, right? I think I think you can do both. You could have a family, you could have a relationship, and still be a successful career woman, right? You don't have to sacrifice one for the other. It is very possible to do both. And I think men these days are very much supportive of their women, because again, men understand the importance of a strong woman in their home, right? You want a woman who is able to support you or even bring the same, on the table. You want a woman who your death will not put them in a position where they are, instead of caring for your kids, they're trying to find another man who can provide the supports that left when you died, or when you guys divorced or separated, right? So most men understand that having a strong woman is pretty important. So men would support their wives or their girlfriends, whatever, in that relationship, as well as encourage and promote them to have a career on their own, right? So you don't have to pick one over the other. It's very possible to have both, and I think that's what women need to understand. You don't,
you don't pick both.
You can definitely do both.
Patrick, what do you think about feminism and this settling? Yeah.
When they talk about feminism, when I always use this word feminism, I always make my fingers like this, putting it in quotes,
right?
Because when we call it the African feminism, because when we look at what is happening with our African sisters and most the Black African communities and all of that, they do it the wrong way. Because when you go to look at the actual definition of feminism, it's helping women and pushing women to the forefront, giving women equal opportunities and all of that. But somehow, these people have figured out a way out of that frustration to make it be like it's a fight against men, right? It's like the target, it's men. So when we're talking about feminism in this context, we're talking about these women who think that their fight is against men, not about uplifting women, not about empowering women. So when we talk in this context, when I'm talking about feminism in the African context, I'm talking about the negative feminists, the negative sisters who are lonely at a certain age. They have nothing. They have just their jobs, and then when they come back home, they have just a puppy or a cat or their how do you call it, or their teddy bears to play with.
They have usually shaved their hair, they're fat, and they have colored it.
Now, they have all this masculine trait. They now start thinking they are men, so they start trying to recruit these younger sisters. One thing women should know is this. Feminism, the negative feminism has not come to help African ladies. It is not helping us. It has not helped us, our sisters, in no way. Even our white sisters here who are into the negative feminism, they are regretting. At a certain age, you regret. When you go back home at the age of 41 and you have nobody to talk with, you have no child, you have no husband, and you are making all this money, at the end of the day, you realize like there is something lacking. No woman wants to go back home at a certain age without having a husband of her own. At the end of the day, we have been programmed to come into this world and get married. We have been programmed to be together. We are social beings. So getting married and growing children and building a family is part of the structure. But for some reason, we decide to rebel. So when you talk about women putting their jobs it's not a problem if you decide to put your job first. It's not a problem if you say you want to advance your career, have your go to school and have your PhD and have all of that, and that's your choice. But you should also remember that at the end of the day, you're supposed to be a woman who has to grow children. You are supposed to be a woman who's supposed to be with a man. And most of these ladies within this period, good men come their way to actually marry them, but they will say no. Because they are thinking, because this man is coming now, maybe I can have a better one when I get more degrees. And we have a lot of modern men who have no problems with their wife actually going to work. So we have men who are supportive. They can actually push their wives to get a job and actually do the work. And they can get a nanny who can come home and do one or two things before they come back home in the evening. This notion of thinking that for you to be a respectable woman, you have to sacrifice your marriage on the altar of your job. Then after you get the job, you start coming back home on a lonely night. I was talking to a friend recently, and because of loneliness, she's putting in double shifts, like double shift back to back.
Yeah, you have to keep yourself busy.
Yeah. So I asked her, how is it now? She's like, I'm lonely. I'm like, but you're supposed to be lonely because you have no time for anybody. You've taken your job to be your first love. You've given everything to your job. So when a man comes towards you, there is no time for him. There's no space. So most men now, they don't have that time to be trying to figuring out this thing with you, trying to bring. You have to create that space, that environment. You thought getting a good job was first. Now you have a good job. You have a good house. You are paying your mortgages. You are paying your bills. You're driving a good car. But at the end of the day, you're coming back to your puppies.
Yeah.
So it is for most of us Africans, I would advise our sisters, those who are watching us, like, at the end of the day, when you get into your 40s, I asked the girl, like, do you have sisters and aunties who are not married and they are above 50 and they're above 40? She said yes. I said, well, do you usually sit down and look at their lives and tell yourself that's the type of life you want?
Mm-hmm.
And this girl, she was silent for a moment. And she's like, for real, I don't want to be like my aunt. They are good people. They are happy, but they are lonely people. You know, human beings, women don't like being lonely. Women they were not prepared to be lonely.
No. Yeah.
That's why they go on.
Oh yeah, I was just agreeing with you.
But again, I don't think even men, I don't think men were built to be single and lonely in a small
men were not built to be lonely. Nobody was built to be lonely, but society has made men to be lonely. Yeah. And they can afford to be lonely within a certain period of time because society has made you to be lonely. We don't have a good job. They even sing that song, broke men don't deserve this. We don't have a good house. We don't have this. You are lonely, right? You are lonely at that point because you have to work hard to get those things so you can get the woman of your dream. Mm-hmm. So men can handle it from childhood. It's all about working and meeting up to standards. Women from childhood, it's all about telling you how pretty you are. You can get the world. Oh, this man will love you. And men are trooping in their numbers. Now, when they get older, that number shrinks. When they get older, they're left with just their job. And when they call their family members, they're at work also, they're busy with their kids playing, then you become lonely. So our sisters who are watching us, you can definitely get married. Because for me, I talk about marriage. When I talk about the relationship with calling boyfriend, girlfriend, dating my boyfriend, girlfriend, for me, it's just enjoying life while waiting. So I always talk about marriage more. So when you're talking about marriage, you should know that you can actually get married and build your career life and do everything. And if you meet a man that does not want to support that issue of you not getting married, maybe it's because he's making too much money that he feels like the wife should not work because he's supplying all the needs. But always put in your mind that if this man dies today, what happens to me? What happens to the children? What happens if we didn't plan well for this eventuality? So women should get a job. That's good. I love women that go to work in the morning. I love women who work because men underestimate the value of a working class woman. Mm-hmm. My dad taught me how to get a woman that works, that goes to work. Because there are moments where she will come in handy in many things to save you financially and all of that, which is very important. So our sisters, get your job, but always remember, don't sacrifice your marriage life. Don't sacrifice a good man on the altar of I want to work.
Let me throw this out there. If you're a working woman and you're a mother and you're a family woman, the chances of you climbing the career ladder are pretty slim because it's like trying to balance two major aspects of your life together. So in that sense, there's some sort of a settling. If you're single and you really want to be putting in the double shifts, and of course you have the opportunities to climb the career ladder. And I feel like this is where the difference between men and women come into play, because men struggle, no doubt, but I feel like men usually have a clear path on how to better their lives. This is how, if I work hard and I make the money and I have a good career and I keep in shape and I look good, the chances are I'll usually have a woman to be with. If I don't do any of those things, I'm going to be a lonely piece of shit. For women, particularly with feminism, I think the advice to them is a little bit confusing. Should you really focus on your career? Should you really focus on your family? How do you balance both? How do you satisfy your husband and your kids? For me, it's a little bit confusing. So that's why I feel like I have a little bit of sympathy for women, because the advice out there is not very clear on them on what path to take. Should you be a career woman, or should you be a woman with your career? Those are two different things. A woman with a career means she has a family life. She works, probably not 60 hours a week, but she works there to keep her job and to have some income, but still depends on her husband for the main supply of finances and resources that the home runs on. The chances are you're probably not going to be a CEO if you're doing that. So what are we doing to our women when we're telling them that, you can be a CEO, you can lead a company, you can get anything that you want, but at the same time, you have to have a husband, you have to have children, you have to mother them and attend sports program and take them to social activities and do all those things. Is it something that you guys experience for? It's really challenging because I don't know what to tell a woman that comes to me. Like, do I say you have to reduce your hours if you want to be a good wife, a good mother?
But isn't that true? Isn't that a reality? Like you can't serve two masters equally at the same time, right?
Yeah.
One has to be one would have to take priority. I think if you want your job and your career to take priority, of course it affects your marriage and your family. There's no way. It's hard. It's hard to excel in a career as a woman when you have kids.
When you have kids,
home, like when you have kids that are looking up to you or that are needing your support and help. You could talk about a nanny. Yeah, you could bring a nanny, but it's different when a mom or a dad is caring for a child as opposed to when a nanny is caring for a child. So I think, again, these people have to make their decisions. Which is more important to you?
Yeah.
Is the well-being of my children more important to me than the career?
Yeah.
I've seen women who have passed on a promotion just because they know that they would have to be spending more time at their jobs, which would affect how much time they're able to spend with their kids. So what kind of children do you want to bring up?
Do you think this affects women as they think about settling, as they think about, having a family and having children? Most likely means I'm not going to be spending a lot of time in my workplace, and most likely means I'm not going to have the career advancement that men who, on the other hand, have to put in this time so that they can provide for their families, which in turn comes with the fact that you have more chances to go up the career ladder.
Yeah, that's true. But one thing, it's all of these things just happening because of the modernity, right? And all this modern issue. Because I grew up in a home where my both parents used to go to work in the morning.
Yeah.
And we had a nanny. So this nanny was home to, like, maybe when we get up in the morning, there was this chores that was divided. You wash the plate, you clean the house, and then the nanny will stay home and cook. When we come back, the nanny will make sure we go to bed. Then we start studying. Before, my parents used to come back by about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So by then, that's when we are that time we are playing, because we already went for siesta. We get up and we are playing. So by the time my mom is coming back, because dad came back early, dad was a teacher, so we spend more time at home. So it worked for us in the sense that when you build a solid foundation as fathers or husbands and wives, right? Being a career woman will not be a big problem. My mom became the postmistress of Bamenda Central. My mom had the promotion, but she could still balance her life.
Right.
She could still balance her life. So what's wrong with us modern women today is because we have become, it's not, let me say we've become so over ambitious, right?
Yeah.
We've become so over ambitious that it's destructive to our own children back at home.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should not be ambitious, but I'm saying that you should choose. If you want to raise children, you can raise children and actually still become a good worker if you have someone that's a support system that will understand you, that will push you, that will support you to come back home and you're tired. Having a nanny to raise your kids is not something like, the nanny is there 24/7, but you also have to come back home. I take an example of our parents or those who are military, who were in the military, who spend their time out. They're in other countries and all of that. How did their kids grow? They still turn out to be good kids because the value when this man is around or when this mother is around, the value you put into them when you are there is very important. But now, because of modern day and all these new rights of the feminism and all of that, women are they're doing things for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
They are just doing some of these things. They later realize that family is more important. When you have your child, it's a sacrifice you have to make. Now, I call this one sacrifice, not settling.
Yeah,
as a parent, right. There's a sacrifice you have to make for these kids to grow. And you can still do the sacrifice and you can still get promotion at work, right? So you should understand that when we were growing, our parents would tell you, when you go to school, the system was when you go to school, when you finish going to school, you get a job. When you get a job, you get married.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, promotion will come. Now, this comes back to tell you that we spoke about equality. This is showing again that men and women are not the same. They are not equal because men are wired to do these things and women are not wired to do this. When women who produce children, who are out at the incubators, they have this bond with their kids. There are things women will not be able to do because of their kids that men will do.
Yeah.
right, men would do. It's not because they don't love the kid, but because they are wired not to be emotional. So when you bring this thing where women are trying to say they can now do, or what a man can do, we can do better. These are the self-deceit that we've inculcated in our sisters. And then you start thinking that when a man works double shift and has a wife,
you're supposed to work
I can also work double shift and come back. So it will not work, right? So it's either you make a sacrifice, you say, okay, I'm not getting married at all because I don't want to raise kids. And we see people doing it now. They still don't get married. But at the end,
and let's be clear,
you marry a partner who doesn't want kids, who has the same kind of ambitions as you.
I think I want us to be clear, because we are not saying women should not marry or women should only focus on your career. I think what we're trying to say, and I hope I'm speaking for all of you, is you have to decide what you want in life and pursue that. If you're looking for, if you think your career is important to you, go for it.
Yeah.
If you think family is important to you, you have to find a way to make it work. And
don't do something, then tomorrow you keep blaming others for your mistakes. You make a decision, then you know that, okay, even if I do this, tomorrow I'll blame my boyfriend or my husband. Tomorrow I'll blame society. Society. No, sit on your own, decide. Okay, I want to be a career woman. That's it, and you go for it.
There's nothing wrong with doing both. You could be a career woman.
There is nothing wrong in being both,
as long as you're able to manage.
If you can manage both of them, you should know that there's a ladder. There's a certain point you won't be able to go further because of your kids as a woman. So you need to be ready to accept to make that sacrifice.
Yeah. Let me throw in something here and hear you guys' thought. Do you think feminism has kind of separated women from motherhood? It has made motherhood some sort of like a foreign idea. This is what women used to grow up to look forward to become mothers and raise their children and be there for their children. Because feminism is now teaching them that men and women are the same and you should focus on things that men focus on. It has taken away the unique thing that women used to offer to society, which is bear children, raise those children to be decent citizens, and then they will in turn have men that will go and break their backs and oftentimes die early because they've been working for their family. What do you guys think? It's just my thought. Feminism has made having children just kind of like something on the side that you just do whenever you want to do, and it's not that important, and you can just bring children in the world and don't care how these children grow.
I think for me, this new trend of feminism has come to destroy marriage. And when the structure or when the marriage institution is under attack, because marriage is a foundation of a good community and a good society.
Yeah.
Right. When you have a good community, it comes from a husband and wife and growing kids, and when you grow them in a good home, it affects the environment where they grow in, the society, the community, and in turn it affects the whole society. So it affects now the whole nation. So when marriage is being, for me, this marriage institution is being attacked for a particular reason. And I always tell ladies, like, go back. One of the problems I also have that people don't read. They don't read enough to go. They don't have the time to read. They just follow. This woman, I listened to Candice Owens.
I love her.
Yeah, Owens said that we have a remote control generation where all they can do is just listen to somebody tell them what to do. If you go back to read where this new rise of feminism came from, you will understand it's a whole system, it's a whole program that was targeted towards marriage, and it's actually working. So it's making more women feel like, oh, I can be a man. It's making more women feel like, oh, I'm the same like a man. And it's affecting childbearing. It's affecting how we grow our children. So yes, for me, it's a very negative.
It's affecting the children too.
It's affecting everything. So for me, it's very negative. This modern day feminism, looking at how the concept, how it came about, who are those sponsoring it, and what's the game, the end game. It's our sisters becoming lonely.
Yeah. If you happen to read about feminism, the first wave feminists were not like this. They were family women who loved their children, who just wanted the right to vote.
More jobs, more job opportunities.
The right to be able to do what they choose. More jobs for women. And they had legitimate things that they were fighting.
It was women empowerment. That was the key.
But they were definitely, and they knew that there was the family works well when there's a good dynamic between man and woman. Not that you guys are fighting each other. But nowadays, like you earlier mentioned, it's about bringing men down.
I think, but again, if you look at feminism in that light, where it's adversary, it's like men against women, then yes, there's a significant impact on the family when women think they are men or can be men or are equal to men, right? But again, there are other things too. And if you look at nations that are pretty religious. If you look at many countries in Africa, where even though feminism is being pushed down their throats, they are able to use religion, because religion seems to be some sort of a buffer, right? You can say whatever you want to say.
But I'm sorry to say, I feel like religion is being penetrated by these ideas.
Well, it is, but it's getting there, but still, it's still something that people use to buffer themselves from all that. Again, that's why when you look at this, you look at the Muslim nations.
They still have the traditional
nations
values
who are strongly Christian or religious. You would see that in as much as they absorb some of these concepts, they are able to create a balance. They understand the importance of family. They understand the importance of a role distinction. A man knows what he needs to do. A woman knows. There's no confusion as to who is doing what, right? When you look at these communities who have this religious support and who are taking feminism, and you take feminism and you look at it
through the lens of religion,
or through the lens of positive women emancipation, equal opportunity. When you look at it from those angles, then yes, family really is not as impacted as when you look at feminism from like I said, radical feminism, where it's like, hey, it's men against women, and it's a constant budding of the head, and it's a constant fight. Family suffers a great deal. So I do agree. Feminism.
From what you just said now, looking at let's take this feminism issue back to our African context, right? It's not really relevant, because when you look at most of our sisters back at home, most of them they're not educated. Let's take our African continent. Most of them are not educated. Most of them don't, even when they're on social media, they don't really go to check about all these things. They don't really have that influence. But when you look at those who are educated, our sisters who are educated, who have been to school and they are getting to a certain age, they start following these other negative ones.
You know what? Because feminism is only prevalent when society has attained a certain level of affluence,
education. Let me say so.
Affluence and education. It's the privilege for a few, the top echelon women who have everything society has to offer. Those are the people who have the privilege of having feminism. If you go down to where people are struggling, where you have the man has to go out and hunt,
the marriage structure is still there.
It's still there when people are struggling, because no one has time for feminism. Where you have to wake up and you go to the latrine at night to go and poo. No one has time for feminism, because you need a man to guide you to the latrine.
You need a man is a first world problem.
It's the first world problem. And rich people's problem. It's really not the problem.
It's not.
Our modern sisters back at home, they're trying to adopt it, but it's not still working. Because most African, it's not our culture, right? It's not in our system. So what he said is like what our song said, which I believe is true, is that religion, on the other way, it has been a very big buffer. But for me, when I look at religion, when I look at Christianity, I see that Christianity is in a decline. So slowly, most of these ladies who would claim to be feminists and all of that, they are mostly Christian ladies. They're always
exactly.
Sundays. They are mostly Christian. I asked a question once on my show and on my Facebook. Have you ever seen a Muslim feminist?
Feminist? You never see.
Very few.
You see
there are exceptions, but
there are few and far in between. But they're not as prevalent as Christians or atheists.
Yes, they're not. Even the atheists themselves. For me, when I look at this, there are few. When I look at this concept of feminism, I see more of the Christian sisters, how can I call it, driving this idea, driving this agenda. They are all Christians, right? So I said that Christianity has been compromised. But we look at the Islamism. Most of these people they still go for their 5 wives.
Yeah,
they still go for their 5 wives. The man is still at the head.
Settling is not a problem for them. Settling is
not
a problem for them.
It's for us Christians. It's for us Christians. Yeah. Atheists, okay, those who say that atheists, they have their way of functioning, but they still believe in one or two things. Like they still believe in not treating people badly and all of that.
Exactly.
But for sure, this issue of feminism is a first world problem.
Yeah.
They are trying to penetrate our sisters back at home, but when they do that, it catches just the educated one at a certain level. At a certain age.
I think there's I mean, in terms of talking about the buffers, I know we talked about religion, but again, I think we have very strong cultures, and cultures. You know, the foundation is the family, and people are working really hard to protect. To use culture to protect.
I know. I think you're being overly ambitious. Our culture is eroding in many ways, and you can see it in the way children are being raised, how they're being very disrespectful to their parents. You can see in the way a lot of people are choosing to have children out of wedlock. You can see the way the family. I remember growing up and we had polygamous family, huge families. You have cousins living around together. Now it's just the parent, the mother, the child, and maybe a few siblings. Our culture, yes, it's important, but I think over time it's beginning to kind of erode.
It's getting eroded, but it doesn't mean that it's not putting up a fight.
It does put up.
It is putting up a fight, but it's getting penetrated. That's for sure. And again, when you look at culture, if you look at culture from Africans who are here in the West, it's not as strong as our brothers who are back home. Culture is stronger back there, right? It's not as diluted as it is with Africans who are living in the West. Because again, you don't have a choice. The laws and the system compels you to discard some of those cultures which you might hold really strongly, right? So even in terms of raising kids, how you raise your kids, how you discipline them is regulated. There's laws on how you discipline a child here, but not the same applies back home. So I think even though I agree that culture is being penetrated and it's being
there's some resistance.
There is definitely some resistance.
For sure. I think last week I had a show here and I was talking about our local languages, why we don't speak our local languages no more. And we had a show here on my platform for a long time about our dialect to talk. How it's fading gradually because modern day parents, which is us now, we feel ashamed speaking this language to our kids, and especially also out of Cameroon, we are abroad, we are struggling. We feel ashamed speaking our local languages to talk our dialect to our kids. So culture is eroding, especially for most of us who are here.
Yeah.
Right. But when you go back home, you still see that culture is there. It is dropping because now people are getting more busier. The economy is really messed up. So people now are working harder to meet up with the challenges of the increase of prices. Bro, things are expensive.
Things are expensive. Oh, I know that. Yeah, sure.
My cousin is my neighbor in Cameroon. We talk at times. When I go back home, he's at work 24/7. We talk on the phone. I go to his house. I meet his kids. But there is still that structure. I still call my aunts. I still call my cousins. We meet. We talk. I will laugh. Back at home, it's still there. And it's helping. This is also as a buffer. Even though it's eroding, I'm wondering how many in about 20, 30 years from now, if
give it 2-3 generations, it's not going to be the same.
Because we are the ones not protecting it no more.
We are the ones.
We, the modern day parents.
That's true. Gentlemen, I really want to thank you guys. I feel like we've had a good conversation. Talk about settling down, talk about the impact of feminism on that. I think we've learned a lot and we've talked a lot. I hope our viewers, can get more information. Patrick, where can people find you or your channel?
Oh, on Facebook, it's Patrick Powers Talk.
Yeah.
PPT.
And we're going to have this show on your. We'll have this show on your channel too.
I'll have it on my channel when everything is settled.
Yeah.
So then I have my main Facebook page is Patrick Powers.
Okay.
So they can go on Patrick Powers or they can go on Patrick Powers Talk PPT.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. We are the Idle Pack Talk Show. We are very excited this collaboration. We hope we'll have so many more conversations on topics in the future. I think that is it for today. We'll more to come. So you guys watch out for more of our contents together with Patrick Powers, and on his channel too. You have this video there. So thank you guys, and talk to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Thank you.